A very good evening to you and welcome to News Night here on Metro TV Live. Studios here at Rich in Accra, the Pia Wahima studio. So News Night is happening at this time because the Black Stars of Ghana will be facing the Samba Boys of Brazil at exactly 6:30 p.m. and we're making way for the latest update on that match. That is why the news is coming to you at this time here on Metro TV. These are the headlines. The Ghana Black Stars to lock horns with the Samba Boys of Brazil in the next hour and a half at a stadium in France. We will take you to France for live updates. Level 400 students of the University of Education, Winneba, will test what they describe as a deliberate attempt by the school authorities to refuse updating the cumulative records of students in the last 3 years. Over 700,000 people stand at the risk of water shortage after the Ghana Water Company served notice they will shut its Tamale plant due to the spillage of the Barry Dam. Now on the international front, bodies of 71 migrants have been found after a boat they were traveling in sank off Syria's coast. Thank you for joining us. And let's start with some sports tonight. Now, the Black Stars are keen on trying their tactics against the Samba Boys ahead of the 2022 FIFA World Cup in Qatar. Ghana is set to show the world their quality when playing Brazil in an international friendly in France.
After breezing through the World Cup qualifiers with 45 points from 17 matches in the CONMEBOL session, all Brazilian eyes are now firmly fixated on this year's World Cup in Qatar. The five-time world champions have not lifted the Jules Rimet Trophy since triumphing in South Korea and Japan in 2002 when Ronaldo's brace saw them take down Germany 2-0 in the final. Since then, their brutal 7-1 demolition at the hands of Die Mannschaft on home soil in the 2014 semi-final is the closest that they have come to adding to their record tally. But there is a growing feeling that this could be their year under tight. Tonight's friendly against Ghana will provide good preparation for facing Cameroon in their final match in Group G at the World Cup, with Serbia and Switzerland also drawn alongside them in the group, which Brazil will be expected to dominate from the outset. Ghana, meanwhile, qualified for our first World Cup since 2014 after beating Nigeria on away goals in the final qualifying round of the CAF session. After playing out a drab 0-0 draw in Kumasi, Thomas Partey's opener in the return leg in Abuja proved to be enough to send the Black Stars to their fourth ever World Cup, as Nigeria could not build on William Troost Ekong's equalizer from the penalty spot. Those two matches were Otto Addo's first and second charge after the 47-year-old replaced Milovan Rajevac following a dismissal. The former Borussia Dortmund winger, who earned 15 caps for Ghana during his playing career, was upgraded from interim coach to full-time manager after his side had fought progression at the Super Eagles' expense. Since then, he has helped guide Ghana to 4 points from 2 matches in the AFCON qualifiers before losing to Japan and drawing with Chile in June's Kirin Cup. There is little doubt that Friday's trip to France to take on Brazil provides Addo's biggest test in charge so far ahead of the Winter World Cup, in which they will take on Portugal, Uruguay and South Korea in an extremely competitive-looking Group H.
Let's now go on Zoom and speak to former French ambassador to Ghana, Anne-Sophie Harvey. She is currently in France and a strong sports fanatic. Also joining us is Daniel Jr., talent manager and a scout for football talent. Good evening to you both and welcome to News Night. Now let me start with you, Anne-Sophie. What is the atmosphere in France as we speak?
Well, Good evening, and thank you very much for having me. Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to come back to Ghana, even through Zoom. The atmosphere in France is that, we are just as amazing fans of football as Ghanaians are. So every opportunity to watch a good match is, of course, an opportunity that we won't miss. Brazil is, of course, a team that your documentary has shown is almost unbeatable, but Ghana is very promising. So I'm sure that they will have a look at tonight, because it may be a friendly match, but at the end of the day, it will somehow tell what we can expect at the World Cup.
All right, kindly hold on for me. Let me speak to Daniel. Daniel, for you who scouts local players for European teams, how would you assess the Ghanaian team having some new players joining at the camp?
Yes, thank you very much. I think we have a new crop, new set of players, and with a very good coach. And with the players who are in camp right now, I think this is a very, very big opportunity for them. I think the world has its eyes on Ghana, not Brazil, because we are the underdogs going into this game. But then one thing about Ghana, I know for sure, is when we always come up against the big boys. Brazil are currently ranked first in the world. In 2006, we beat the best team in the world, which was Czech Republic. And then in 2010, we nearly made history. In 2014, we made it very difficult for Germany. Germany went on later to beat the Samba boys by 7-1. And so this is a big test for us. And with the new set of players in this Black Stars team, I know for sure that they are going to do well. They are going to do well. They know they've taken this game like it's a final. So yes, I see them to be very good coming into this game. We are good to go.
Now let me throw this question to the both of you. But first, Daniel, answer this for me. Do you think Ghana has a chance against Brazil, looking at recent performances by both teams?
Well, to be frank with you, the players in the Black Stars team are yet to play as a team. We've brought in new players. The players we used in the recent games in Japan are a little bit different from the ones in France. And so, truth to be told, it's going to be very difficult for Ghana. But then it's also good news for Ghana, because we are facing a South American counterpart. And we also have a South American counterpart in our group, which is Uruguay. And so this is a very big test for Ghana, even though we might not get the edge over them. I think it's very good for us.
And if you are still there, tell me, what do you make of Ghana's chance against Brazil tonight?
Well, obviously, just after DBJ, who is the expert, I'm certainly not technically an expert of that.
Yeah.
I think what matters, it's a friendly game, so they may probably not put all their strength into it. They will play their best game, but it will be a good test for them to test their teamwork, their team game, and to see how they can, work together with those new players coming in. I believe that we will still have our eyes on Ghana, because the football fans, they comment even if the team doesn't eventually win. What matters is how they play, and that gives a hint of what can happen during the World Cup, because that will be the real thing. So really, I will watch, not because, of course, I would love the Black Stars to win, but I will watch because I just want to see how they handle it, how good they feel playing together, and that's what really matters. And it's a great training, Can you hope for a better training than playing the best in the world? And it's not impossible, because remember, in 2009, which is literally 13 years ago, and I suspect DBJ wasn't born, but he's such he's so good in football that he even knows that. In the World Cup under 20, Ghana beat Brazil. So those under 20, they are now the big boys in the team. So I think everything can happen, but obviously what matters is to have a wonderful game, a wonderful time, and they'll make us dream, vibrate, and get ready to support them during the World Cup. And may I add, among those little young boys who have come in the team, we have 4 guys who are actually playing for French clubs: Kamaldeen, Gaiden Mensah, Adikou, and Seydou, and they play in all different clubs in different parts of France. So we have some in history many very, very good players, beginning by Abedi Pelé, who have played in France and who have been fantastic players in the Black Stars. I can also mention, oh my God, help me, DBJ, Asamoah Gyan, of course, who played in Rennes. So Abedi Pelé has not only given France an amazing victory in the Europa Cup or Euro League in 1993, but he's also given us 2 sons who are amazing players and who are now in the Black Stars. So, just for the beauty of the game, to see them, how they're doing, and raise hope on how they will eventually do in the World Cup. That's what matters tonight.
Great. Some very interesting analysis there by you, Anne. I'll come back to you for a prediction, but let me go back to you. Daniel, Ghana, as is said by some school of thought, that will do well as underdogs. Is it going to happen tonight?
Yes, I think it's going to happen tonight, and it's really good to have that kind of perception. Ghana being underdogs, yeah, we really destroy the big teams anytime we go into like this kind of games, and so yes, it can happen tonight. We are going to give Brazil the surprise of their life. As I said, the world's eyes is on Ghana now, and so if we defeat Brazil, it's going to be the talk of town. It will really trend, and yeah, I think they should just wait for Ghana.
All right, Daniel, I'm going to let you go, but tell me, what are your predictions for tonight? What are going to be the numbers of goals tonight?
Well, I'm looking at a 2-2 draw.
A 2-2 draw. I would have preferred a 2-0, but then that's your prediction. You can do with that. And coming back to you, what are you predicting?
Oh, I'm absolutely zero when it comes to predicting, but I can predict a whole pizza, big excitement, and probably a couple of beers. That's my prediction.
I wish you had been a bit biased for Ghana, but it's okay. I mean, and I'm tempted to call you a sports analyst. Great submission from you and Daniel here tonight on the news. We are grateful for your time. I have also been joined in the studio by a senior sports journalist, Phil John Cote, which I'll come to later. But for now, let's go on Zoom again and have a conversation with Atta Poku, who is a sports journalist based in Ghana, in Kumasi to be precise. Atta, good evening to you and welcome to this night.
Thank you for having me. I hope you're well.
At 6:30 p.m. What do you have to say about that?
Well, it's a very difficult exercise we are about to undertake. If for nothing at all, it's something we actually need to test our readiness for the upcoming fiesta in Qatar. And I've seen the Black Stars lineup currently, and I still feel that the coach is going for trusted lieutenants instead of over-experimenting, because we are not careful and the results become overly embarrassing. It can break the confidence of the new boys in town. So let's see this game for what it is, for the prestige and all that it comes with. But for Ghana, the most important thing is that we have an opportunity to try the systems, tactics, and men that we intend to use to execute them when the World Cup comes to us in Qatar in November.
I don't know the particular lineup that you're referring to, but I have some lineup with me that I've seen on social media. It's circulating and conversations are happening. So I have Jojo Walcott, a keeper who has had a lot of conversations when it comes to his goalkeeping in games. And also I have Dennis Odoi, Gideon Mensah, Alex Jiku, Dan Amate, Thomas Partey, Andy Dayu, Jordan Ayew, Kudus Mohammed, Afenya Jan, Kamal Din Suleiman. Does it go with your lineup?
Absolutely. That's the very lineup we are expected to see when the referee blows his whistle this evening in Le Havre. That's what the Black Stars are using. And you could see that there is a lot of experience and trust in people that the coach have belief in and people who understand his philosophy quite well. He only had Iñaki Williams, he had Tariq Lamte, he had Stefan Ambrosius, Yeboah Koningsdorfer, and all the rest in the team. But they've just joined, and in a game like this, you need to be cautious. So just as we've known him to be a loyalist who rewards trust, he's gone with people he's familiar with, all things being equal, to stem the tide. And then in such games, you have the opportunity to make limitless number of substitutions. Hopefully, we are going to see some of the new faces. But like I said earlier, the most important thing, even with this lineup, is to make sure we integrate the new boys into the team so well, and we don't allow Brazil to tear us apart.
Atta, before I let you go, tell me, if you are to replace any of the players that I've mentioned here tonight with those on bench, who would you substitute?
It's bold, but I would have taken Andre Ayew out and given his responsibility to Kudus Mohamed, based on what we've seen with him at Ajax, to experiment the false nine he's been playing there, or playing as a number 10 in the hole just behind the striker, and then bring Iñaki Williams in to help Afenajan.
All right, and thank you so much. Atta Poku is a sports journalist in Kumasi. We are still talking Black Stars of Ghana against the Samba Boys of Brazil. And in the studio is senior sports journalist and the man who can turn it to be international relations expert, Theo John Cotton, is still with me tonight. Good evening to you, sir.
Good evening, my friend. How are you?
I'm agreed. We are told that this will be the greatest test for the coach, Otuado, going into the game. What do you make of that?
Okay, first of all, before I look at the game, let me commend the leadership of the FA and the technical wing of the Ghana Football Association for taking that bold decision to play against Brazil. Why am I saying so? Remember that during the World Cup in Qatar, we're playing against Uruguay. Uruguay are in South America, so we needed to test our powers against a South American country before the World Cup play in Uruguay. Remember that we have a date with Uruguay after embarrassing us and giving us also problems during the 2010 World Cup. We need to revenge. So playing Brazil, huge decision to take. Again, to move forward and play against Nicaragua, later Switzerland. But let's focus on tonight's game, which is very important, against Brazil. It might be a make or break for us going to the World Cup. Let me take one after the other. One, if it goes successfully, it will build the confidence of the team going to the World Cup, including the new boys. But if it goes well as a result, it will break the team down. So it's a gamble somehow. That's one thing. It's a gamble. If it goes very well, probably a draw or probably a slim lose, it will build our confidence, because when you check the camping, it's looking very good. The camaraderie in the camp is good. Everything seems to be very nice with the new players' arrival. But if it doesn't go very well and we don't work on the psyche of the players, we are in for trouble.
All right, so I want you to take me through the names of the Brazilian players that are at the camp and waiting to meet Ghana tonight. Phil, you have the names.
Yeah.
Mention them and tell me where they are going to be playing up as positions and their chances when it comes to the game against Ghana tonight.
Well, I don't need to mention to you because my 10-year-old daughter can tell you what's the value of the Brazilian players, led by Neymar. Certainly he'll be in the fray. Vinicius Junior is doing very well at Real Madrid. He's been one of the hottest players on the continent. He's a Brazilian. We have Rafinha, who plays for Barcelona. He's a prospect. I mean, there is Alisson, who is a goalkeeper for Liverpool. He's also there. Edison is a goalkeeper for Manchester. He's also there. A whole lot of them will be in the fray. For Casemiro just joined Manchester United. He'll be in the midfield. But when you look at things very well against these Brazilians, remember that earlier on in our program, Good Afternoon, I was telling you guys something, that going to play against Brazil, the players themselves know what is at stake. Why am I saying so? Because when you talk about Brazil, there's a possibility that when you, when you misbehave or not in good form, you can be shipped out within the next 30 seconds and go away and they form another thing. Why am I saying so? Because knowing very well that every player is possible to qualify to play for the Brazilian national team, every player who will be selected to play against Ghana, despite any other thing, will ensure that they give their best. Because, listen, there's a World Cup selection at stake within the next 2 months. And if you fail to deliver, TT will tell you, pack and go away.
All right, and I want to ask, so would you describe this as a justify your inclusion for both the players and the entire team? Is that what you would say?
It's not only Ghana. I mean, it's not only Ghana. Remember that Otuado has been in the team not far too long. He managed to qualify us for the World Cup. The African has not played too much. Yeah, this is the time that he has probably the core of his team that Ghanaians are looking for, including the players that came in changing the nationality. So trying to get a core of the World Cup would depend on these 3 friendly matches, starting with the Brazilian game tonight, before we go to Nicaragua. Then we check the main from Geneva, Switzerland. So yes, we have to get by the end of these 3 matches, we should know the players that we're taking to the World Cup, barring any last-minute setback through injury. Again, for the Brazilians, the same thing I said. If you have to go to the World Cup, this is the time for you to justify. But for the Brazilians, it's a close shave.
All right, I'll come back to you,
Because
Phil.
if you play very well today and you mess up within the next 3 months, the next 3 weeks, Titi can tell you go away.
All right, I'll come back to you, Phil, to speak about the lineup for the Samba Boys and also the Blasters of Ghana. But for now, let's cross over to Tiptoe Lane, where my colleague Elv Sando had an interaction with some Ghanaians on the expectations ahead of the game.
It's been 11 years and Ghana is set to meet Brazil in an international friendlies. But how do these football lovers predict the scorelines ahead of the actual game? Now let's get closer to the people around Tiptoe Lane to find out from them their predictions and whether or not they believe in the Ghanaian football team squad.
This football match is very, 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 terrible. And I hope Ghana will be winning. Ghana will take the win for this, because for last year they win us. So this one I hope, and I'm very sure that we will win. And for the bet, I'm going to win the bet. For me, we can take just 1-0. Yes, that's the maximum score that I'm hoping for.
Actually, I don't have much hope in the team. We are now rebuilding the Black Stars. So I think Brazil starts as favorite. Although we have some individuals who are good, like Partey, they have Kudus. We have individuals who are brilliant. But as a team, you don't have a team. Compare the stars of Brazil to Ghana team. We are minus. So let's say Ghana is underdog.
I'm machine too. Brazil get players, quality players. It's a player. Mohamed Kudus. On the pet, Madam Monet. Some machine. About 2-0 first half and I know. I'm machine 2-0.
Now share Ghana for more than boy. You bet me I sustain here 2-0 no.
Oh, you bet me. 2-0, you bet me I sustain 2-0 no.
Ghana go score, that be 2-0.
The Brazil, I'm not training to watch it. This year now, I want to squad and so here come on there. You want to go see a team on board draw. Because Brazil, there, we are Brazil, almighty Brazil. Ghana, the almost Ghana almost because, and I'm there. Previous on my community, almost a kid. But still, you just a bit made in.
Well, should you ask me what the score lines will be, obviously I won't be able to tell you how the match will turn up. Reporting for Metro News, Elvis Andor, Tiptoe Lane, Accra.
I'm back in the studio with Phil John Cortes, senior sports journalist here at Metro TV. Phil, you have the lineup.
Yeah, we
Take
have
me
the
through
lineup.
them.
Okay. I think let me start with the Ghanaians. Certainly, as Ghanaians, we are very anxious to see who will be being the justice of Ghana. As usual, it's not surprising the goalkeeping department. It's Jojo Wallacott. He will be imposed for Ghana. Then we have Dennis Odwe, who is based in Brussels, Belgium. We have Gideon Mensah, Alexander Djiku, who is based in France. There's Daniel Amate. He plays for Leicester City. Tamaster Partey. We have Andre Dede Ayew. Then we have his brother Jordan. We have Kudus Mohamed, who is flying presently. Then we have Afenejan and Kamadine Suleiman, who is also based in France. So that is Ghana's squad. The surprise package over there has to do with Inaki Williams.
Yeah.
A lot of people were expecting him to start, but I like this strategy. Why? This is his first time he's made in game. I'm sure the coach wants him to see the first half of the game before he say go on and prove a point. So unfortunately, the gentleman everybody is expecting who plays for Atletico Bilbao will not be starting. We're talking about Inaki Williams, who will be starting from the bench. Well, for the men from Rio de Janeiro or Sao Paulo, we have Edison, who plays for Liverpool. We have Milito. He plays for Real Madrid. And Silva, I think he plays for your Chelsea. We have Marquinhos. We have Telles. We have Casemiro, plays for Manchester United. Then the next player, the guy that plays for West Ham, Pacquiao. Then we have, I think, Neymar, then Vinicius Junior. Then I think we have Rafinha and Ray Charleston that plays for Tottenham Hotspur. This is a wild one coming from Titi, who is in charge of the Brazilians, to play against Ghana.
I like how you said wild. But
yeah, of course, wild.
So I want to find out, is it a good idea to face Brazil at this time? The confidence of our boys.
That is why.
The World Cup.
That is why I'm saying that initially I congratulated the leadership of the FA and the technical staff of the Ghana Football Association. It is a make or break decision for us. Most Ghanaians are worried or has to qualify out of the group, and we have to qualify for the group. Either we beat Uruguay or Portugal to qualify.
All right, so Phil, I'm still going to take your reaction, but then before that, let's take this quick story. When I come back, I'll take your reaction on this story, then I can move on. So international sports analyst Nana Kweku says the match between Ghana and Brazil is to assess the players ahead of the World Cup. He and sports journalist Yao Ampofuankra, who is traveling with the team, have been speaking on Metro News. Listen.
When we only secured a point out of 9, we were all running our mouths up saying, well, we drew against the only team that we drew against the team that won the cup eventually. And so we weren't defeated by Germany. And so that was supposed to be our claim to fame. It's mediocrity. And whilst I want to see a great performance and I would love to see Ghana win the match, I would much prefer that we lost, so that if we perform badly in the World Cup, we wouldn't start saying, well, we beat Brazil in a friendly. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
I understand, but
yeah.
What does it matter?
No, it matters. It does matter. Because you see, the vim that we have for this game is something that must be carried over into the World Cup, right? And that might be something that's difficult to do, because who's the best team in the world? It's the Brazilians. It's the Brazilians, and everyone is really geared up for this game. But you're not playing them in the World Cup. It's a friendly for assessment purposes only. If you win, it will be news. If you lose, it won't be news, because the world punters expect us to lose that game. If we draw, it will even be news.
This is another match for Brazil, honestly. This is just another game for Brazil. They're so used to playing at the highest level against the highest teams that, without disrespecting the Black Stars, what would be in their mind is that once in a while, these Africans can be stubborn. You know, let's hope it's not tonight, because if it's tonight, then it's going to be a long night for us. They know that the Africans have a tendency to put it on or turn it on. But the problem is the Africans are not consistent, and that includes Ghana. If it's Cameroon, if it's Senegal, if it's the Ivory Coast, you know. So they know their favorites. They know they've done their homework on Ghana. They believe they can win, possibly comfortably. But they're also wary that should Ghana decide that this is the night we want to make a statement, then we could be in for a very interesting night. But if it's the same old Ghana, and if we're not tactically suave and smart, and we don't pay attention and we don't concentrate, then it would rather be a long night for the Black Stars of Ghana.
A very interesting comment there from Yao Ampofuankra and Nana Ajimai. But I want you to react first to Nana Ajimai's statement. He's hoping Ghana loses so that when we go to the World Cup and perform some abysmally, there won't be too much of pressure and tension on the players. Let's start with that.
I think before I answer, I'll tell you that opinion is like noses, and each one has got one, and that is opinion, by the way. But to me, like I said, in the beginning, it's a gamble we're taking. And let's keep our fingers crossed, hoping that it will work for us. Because if it doesn't work for us, the effect can be catastrophic, or it can be a jamboree. Jamboree, in fact, that if we get a good result against the Seleçaos, we'll build on it. If we don't, and it's that terrible, we'll get the bashing from Accra all over the country regarding their performance against the Brazilians.
And they get to improve upon that.
Then we have to work on their psyche and then move on. But the key thing is that tonight, let's look for performance-based results. That's the most important thing. Not what will happen at the end of 90 minutes. If the teamwork is good, the distribution is good, the network is better, let's move on as a team and build for the World Cup. Let's not lose too much for results. It might be a revenge fight. I recall, listen, we played the Brazilians on 4 occasions at the senior level. We've considered 13 goals against and only scored 2. So we have to prove a point, like trying to build something ahead of the World Cup. But let's not be too much trying to say that we have to beat the Brazilians at the same time. If we beat them, fair enough.
We don't?
We'll move on.
Thank you so much, Phil. And Phil is a senior sports journalist here at Metro TV. There's more on Black Stars facing Brazil at 6 p.m. here with Phil John Cote. And as can be seen on the screen, the lineup for the Black Stars of Ghana meeting.
Okay, let's go through them again. It's Jojo Wallacott, then it's Odoi, Gideon Mensah, Alexander Juku, Daniel Amate, Thomas Partey, Andre Dede Ayew, the captain, it is Jordan Ayew, Kudus Mohamed Afenejan, and Kamadine Suleiman, who is based in France. So this is the starting lineup, what we're picking all the way from France for the Black Stars. If we could get to that of the Brazilians, fair enough, but if you don't get, we'll still play against them.
Let's be biased. We don't want them. We don't want to see them. So thank you so much. But I'm believing and trusting Kudus to do what he's been doing.
Let's hope so. He's
been amazing for us now.
Certainly.
Amazing. He plays for us now, right?
Ayas.
Yeah. I know my sport at least.
I know why he's in Arsenal, because your producer is an Arsenal fan. He's mentioned now into your ears.
One of us now. Right. Thank you so much, Phil.
You're welcome.
So need to make an urgent call, but you realize you don't have credit, or your very important conversation was cut short because you ran out of airtime. Well, there is no need for all that stress, because all you have to do on MTN is dial *506# and you get to borrow credit on MTN Extra Time. The best part is you can also borrow data by dialing the same number *56# and you can bundle data whenever you run out of credit to continue on browsing or talking. Your conversations don't need to end. Borrow extra time now and enjoy the things you love to do on your favorite network, MTN. Still to come here on the news tonight.
The arrest of Aisha Wan herself and the determination of the Attorney General to prosecute Aisha Wan and exact the maximum punishment on her, for me, it's also a great impetus to the work we are doing here.
Welcome back. Now, the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Samuel Abu Jinapor, has told Metro News that his outfit remains committed to winning the war against illegal mining and its consequences. In an exclusive interview with Metro News, Samuel Abu Jinapor also expressed hope that the Chinese Glamsey Queen will be convicted and sentenced for her role in illegal mining activities in Ghana.
I'm not even really overly obsessed about the past. Right. My focus is how we root out foreigners from our small-scale mining industry, right, which is why the arrest of the 154 foreigners a week ago, for me, is a major feat. And the arrest of Aisha Wan herself and the determination of the Attorney General to prosecute Aisha Wan and exact the maximum punishment on her, for me, it's also a great impetus to the work we are doing here. We need to always look at these matters from a broader point of view. There are foreigners involved in criminal conduct in various aspects of our national life, whether it's in the mining sector, or it's in the fishing sector, or it's in the petrochemical industry, or it's in the threat to the stability of our country through terrorism, or it's armed robbery, or what have you. The focus of a government with its salt, such as the Akufo-Addo government, ought to be putting in place the requisite policy, legislative framework to root out foreigners from all the criminal enterprises and cartels in our country, mining inclusive, and which is why her arrest for me is good news. And even the news, which is for me a better news, is the fact that the Attorney General is absolutely determined to pin this woman down. That is absolutely good news. And I don't think that it should just be Aisha Wan. It should be all the foreigners involved in small-scale mining in our country, because it's a crime to be for a foreigner to be involved in small-scale mining in our country, whether legal or illegal. It is absolutely a criminal conduct for any foreigner to be involved in small-scale mining. And the law, which has been amended, is made the punishment for such conduct more deterrent, more punitive. We should pursue all those foreigners, just as we arrested 154 people just last week. That is how I want to look at these matters, and I believe that is what will make the necessary impact.
And be reminded that the full version of this interview will be aired tomorrow at 8 a.m. on Inside Pages, hosted by Moro Audu and the team led by Abdullah Mohammed. Away from that, students of University of Education Winneba earlier today staged a demonstration over their cumulative results of level 400 students. According to these students who led the protest, they are demanding the Data Protection Unit of the university to update the academic records in the latest or phase their theory.
Of the University of Education Winneba embarked on the demonstration over the failure of management to update students' academic record. Prior to the protest, the demonstrating students resisted the entry of journalists and the police into the university community. Snippet of information gathered by Metro News suggested that the action was taken as a result of failure of the university's data processing unit to update the yearly academic record of students. University students expected to be done with their academic studies lamented they are bent on seeing the academic progress in the latest if there is no deliberate attempt on the part of the school's authority to be on the safest side should they argue about their grade point average GPA in the future. So far, neither the student leadership nor the university administration have spoken on the issue.
Let's extend this conversation further with our Central Regional Correspondent, Akwasi Addo. Akwasi, good evening to you. Bring us up to speed. What more can you tell us on this issue? Akwasi, kindly unmute and let's have a conversation. And so I'm asking you to bring us up to speed and tell us the latest update on the demonstration staged by the students of the school in Winneba.
Okay, so right at the moment, there is an uneasy calm on the campus of the University of Education, Winneba, as the demonstrating students have since dispersed. They dispersed as a result of a tear gas, which was being fired by some personnel of the Ghana Police Service later on during the demonstration. Now, these students, even though failed to grant audience to the media, are suggesting that right from level 100 until now, the school's data processing unit has consistently failed in updating their academic records, and then they only had a section of the results being pasted on the notice board of the university. And then they say that they are not content with the results that were being posted since some of them, or a larger number of them, appear to have failed in their courses, and so they are required to do a resit of those papers which they failed. So from the point of argument is that from level 100, the school management has failed to deal with the matter, even though they complained for several times. And this morning at around 10 a.m., there was supposed to be a meeting between the school's management and the student body, and they would later only hear that the meeting had been called off by school management. That triggered the demonstration this morning, which ran into several hours of the day. Now, the students are threatening to be back on Monday to continue with the demonstration in a more fiercest manner.
All right, thank you, Akwasi Addo, for telling us on the news. Akwasi Addo is a Central Regional Correspondent. And now, over 700,000 people within the northern region will be affected by water shortage due to the spillage of the Barrow Dam. The communications officer of the Ghana Water Company Limited in the northern region, Nicholas Niabi, in an interview with Metro Television, urged residents to store water so they are not badly affected.
Very important for us to take this for two reasons. First of all, save lives and property. We have workers working at the internet, and it's important that we save the lives of these workers. And again, save the installations that we have on the river. And so, like you said, and like our statement points out clearly, it's important that we do the monitoring. And I can tell you that as of this afternoon, when we checked, it's about 33.30 feet. So it has even gone beyond the 30.40 feet, which was reported last Tuesday. It's now 33.30 feet as at today. And so that is the situation in which we find ourselves. Once we get to the 36 feet, the maximum 36 feet, we need to temporarily, and again, I emphasize, we need to temporarily shut down to protect the installation and then the lives of our workers on the plant. We're talking about close to about 700,000 population. But this same treatment plant is what serves, like you rightly mentioned, the people of Kumbungu, the people of Savlugu, parts of Tolon District Assembly, the Sanango District Assembly, the Greater Tamale Metropolitan Assembly, as well as communities along the Tamale-Kumasi stretch, the Tamale-Yendi stretch, the Tamale-Salaga stretch. Is this same water treatment facility that is serving all these areas? And so a greater number of the population in the Tamale metropolis and all the surrounding districts will be affected as well. Fortunately for us, that's why we've started the sensitization since the beginning of September.
And that was earlier in a conversation with my colleague Kenneth Jesse. Now, the Conference of Heads of School is demanding the immediate closure of all basic schools within the Bawku municipality. According to the group, the move has become necessary due to the increasing insecurity and unavailability of a safe means of transportation. The decision was arrived at during a private meeting.
Bawku has been a hotspot for violent clashes between youth groups and various ethnic groups. This has led to a lot of curfews imposed in the area. Few weeks ago, the Interior Minister Ambrose Derry reviewed a curfew imposed in Bawku and its environs to help security agencies curtail the insecurity situation in the municipality. According to the minister, the review is based on the advice of the Upper East Regional Council. The review took effect on Monday, September 5, 2022. Also, the Regional Security Council temporarily banned the operations of the Yellow transport system. This has necessitated the Conference of Heads of Schools to demand the immediate closure of basic schools. According to the group, the ban of the Yellow transport system, coupled with the ongoing insecurity crisis in the area, put pupils at a huge disadvantage, hence the call. The group has therefore appealed to the Municipal Director of the Ghana Education Service of the Bawku municipality to, as a matter of urgency, close down all basic schools.
And now to some health issues. President of the Ghana HIV/AIDS Network, GHANET, Ernest Amoabin Otson, is urging victims of HIV to keep taking their medications to avoid weakening their system. He is encouraging local medicine manufacturers to seek clarification from the Foods and Drugs Authority before selling their products to patients.
Currently, about 260,000 people are on treatment for HIV. And out of that number, 5% are children. What this means is that we have about 13,000 children who are on treatment. That is extremely high. If you look at the global standard, the WHO says that for countries to be able to prevent mother-to-child transmission, we should be doing something less than 5%. That is to say, if you have 100 women who are HIV positive, if they give birth, less than 5 of them should be infected. But then as a country, we are doing about 18 to 20%, which is extremely high. What this means is that out of every 100 women who are HIV positive and give birth, we have as much as 20 of them being positive. This is not good, and if we want to end AIDS, we will not be able to end it because we'll be having new infections. Taking pills every day is not easy. Taking pills every day is not easy. So at some point, some get very tired, they start complaining, and they stop taking their medications. When that happens, they relapse, and the disease, they develop resistance against the virus. So
Live from our studios here at Reach in Accra, this is Newsnight. After this break, business news, we are. Now, in business, the Ghana Union of Traders Association is calling on the Bank of Ghana to sustain its clampdown on individuals and entities engaged in the business of buying and selling foreign exchange without a license from the Apex Bank.
According to the president of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, Dr. Joseph Obin, the Forex Bureau system should be streamlined to perform the exact purpose for which it was established. The cedi has dropped by at least 35% in 2022, according to a Bloomberg report, making it the world's worst performing currency after Sri Lanka's rupee among 150 economies tracked. The Bank of Ghana recently clamped down on individuals who were illegally trading in Forex. Dr. Joseph Obin has urged the Apex Bank to sustain its effort of cracking down on individuals engaged in this business.
When one wants the rate in a day, maybe in the morning you go, they will tell you the rate is not ready yet, and that will get the rate around 10 to 11. Who communicates this rate and who determines this rate? Definitely it's not from Bank of Ghana. So it means that there's a cartel that goes on and strategize on how to take advantage of the system to the disadvantage of all of us.
Dr. Joseph Obin, who has been re-elected as the president of GUTA, called for unity among the traders.
We should all come together because this thing that we're doing because first and foremost of our businesses. It's not for our personal interest. And so there's no need for us to have any problems among ourselves. And in unity lies strength.
According to the Executive Secretary of the Ghana Association of Savings and Loan Companies, Tweneboa Kodia Boache, more women pay back their loans than men. He was speaking on the sidelines of the GIZ launch of the remittance product for women in business.
Flows and their usage are gaining more attention in the international discourses on sustainable development. This is especially so for many women who own micro businesses and require financial literacy to improve their business operations. In an interview with Metro Business, the Executive Secretary of the Ghana Association of Savings and Loan Companies, Tweneboa Boache, says women are key players in the financial sector activity.
Reality is that when you come to the non-bank sector, women are the main people, and doing business with women have been very beneficial, because if you look at even those who take loan and pay, women do better. If you take those who do savings, women, when they're able to do more savings. And so we will need to encourage more of these initiatives to make sure that we rope in more, because the woman is able to influence the child more in some of these things. And if the home is peaceful, then the man can even be able to go and do more work and bring in more money.
The managing partner of Purple Almond Consult, Florence Hope Wudu, believes it's high time people inculcate a good saving habit.
Maybe we say it's remittance, but in other ways, you live in Ghana and you have other means of getting income. Not just remittance. You receive money from Momo, from a sister in the village, a sister in the city. The money that comes to you, the whole idea is that think about savings. So for every cedi you get, think about leaving a peswa somewhere for future. So that money that you have saved, it's your fallback in times of need to be able to use it to build your business or perhaps for a future need. That's what savings is about.
Sustainable financial inclusion activities will help enhance the efficiency of the financial sector to propel development in Ghana.
Showbiz comes up next after this break.
Now, American singer and Usher and Caesar have arrived in Ghana ahead of the Global Citizen Festival, which is scheduled to take place on Saturday, September 24 at the Black Star Square. The singers, upon their arrival, visited Basics International, which is an NGO in Accra and one of Global Citizen's regional response partners for the End Extreme Poverty Now campaign. And they also told the Choco community the festival to be held on Saturday will see performances from other acts, including Sarkodie, Stonebwoy, Stormzy from the UK, Jackie Hare, and Nigeria's Terms. Well, that's it for entertainment news on Newsnight. My name is Harriet Addy. Right.
Oh, thank you, Harry. It's now time for the latest update on the international front.
Hong Kong will scrap its controversial quarantine for arrivals from next week, bowing the mounting pressure to end more than 2.5 years of isolation that has hammered the economy and driven talent out of the financial hub. Hong Kong's leader, John Lee, announced at a press conference on Friday that the Chinese territory will resume quarantine-free entry on Monday. The bodies of 71 migrants have been found after the boat they were traveling in sank off Syria's coast.
And that's it for this night here on Metro TV. Remember, at 6 p.m., Phil John Cotto will be here with all the update as we build up to the Ghana versus Brazil match at 6:30.